by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and truly enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and truly enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramana Yeswa Let's turn to page 208. Page 208. These are the stanzas which are the stanzas, verses, and the paragraphs compilation. It's a compilation from various sources related to the meditation on emptiness. And there are many of which are actually used by His Holiness with the Dalai Lama in his teachings, and he also encourages us to memorize them, some of the stanzas, and some of them which we added or picked up from, extracted from very important sutras, which are related to our practice of the wisdom and emptiness. Some of them in the form of giving us the motivation, some of them to actually practice the wisdom and emptiness, some of them during the post-meditation, how to apply them in your life so that the wisdom and emptiness is constantly being activated in your mind. Okay, and for example, the first one, I'd like to just quickly explain what the paragraph is. The Buddha is comparing between two bodhisattvas, page 208. Buddha is comparing between two bodhisattvas. One bodhisattva who already became bodhisattva for many eons, and another bodhisattva who newly became a bodhisattva. Buddha is comparing these two bodhisattvas in terms of accumulation merit. And what the Buddha said is that the bodhisattva, one who has newly become bodhisattva, but with the wisdom of emptiness. And on the other hand, the bodhisattva, who has been bodhisattva for many eons, but without the wisdom of emptiness. And in terms of accumulation merit, if you compare the two, then the accumulation merit done by the bodhisattva, the fresh bodhisattva, with the wisdom of emptiness is going to be far more than the accumulation merit done by the bodhisattva without the wisdom of emptiness, though he or she generated the bodhicitta for all these many lifetimes. So what makes the difference is whether or not your virtue is accompanied by the wisdom of emptiness. If it is accompanied with wisdom of emptiness, it becomes extremely meritorious and very powerful. If not accompanied by wisdom and emptiness, then the problem is that it's a virtue that you do in the dream, affected by dream. And not knowing that what you're doing is a dream, you think it's real. So that virtue is much less powerful than the one who's aware that what I'm doing is just a dream. Okay, let's read this, page 208. Page 208. And it will be good if you can recite this combination at least once in a month. Once in a month you can recite this. This is very helpful to invigorate the seed of wisdom and emptiness within us. Okay, Gift of Youth Ratna Sutra. Manjushri. Let's read this together. Manjushri. Whoever listens, even without to this teaching on emptiness, practices the sixth profession for 100,000 eons. This being so, what name is there to say anything about a person who listens to this teaching without doubt? What name is there to say anything about a person who imparts the scripture, writing, memorizes it, and also teaches it orally and extensively to others? A treasure for one thus gone sutra. Any person who possesses all these 10 great non-virtues enters into the teaching of selflessness and is staying in conviction that all phenomena are from the beginning pure and true existence, does not go to a bad rebirth. Chapter and Untitled Sutra. If any bhikkhu realizes that all phenomena are absolutely pacified of inherent existence, and the beginning of developments devoid of self-nature, it will remove the guilt of having developments and make unstable the developments. Thus, deeming even the immeasurable negativity is dysfunctional, and alone the secondary wrongs done associated with ethics and rituals. Arya Deva's 400 verses on the middle way. Those with less merit will not even have a doubt in this dharma of ultimate reality. Should any inquiry ever arise in someone, it shatters samsara into pieces. Acharya Shantideva said in the middle way. Even as the ordinary being, but hearing about emptiness, one experiences with an utter joy again and again, tears flow from such pure joy most in one's eyes, and one's hair stands on hand, one has the seed of the wisdom for awakening. Upalita Sutra. The various delightful flowers blossom, and the sparkling supreme golden apple stands where they are. For none of these is there a creator, there is a positive part of it. If through conceptualization the world is imputed, Vichira's utterance in the fundamental vehicle sutra. The mind is demonic, which views a true self. They have wrong view. These comments and aggregates are empty. There is no being in them. Just one designates a card, independence upon the collection of parts. So they said the natural state being independence upon the aggregates. Venerable Shawara's writings. Searching for reality through one finds not the periphery nor the center. All perception cease completely. Likewise, through a thorough search of mind and phenomena, one finds not even an atom of essence. Since the searching mind is not found, not seeing anything is seeing the reality. Saint Sarah's writings. By entering into emptiness but devoid of compassion, one will not find the supreme path. By meditating upon compassion alone, one will not attain liberation but remain in samsara. The one capable of grasping the unit of the two will not remain in samsara nor by personal nirvana. King of Concentration Sutra. Just as in the dream of a young girl, she met with a boy and saw his death. Joyful was she at the meeting, and anguish at his death. Do all phenomena as thus. Arya Nagarjuna's fundamentalism of the middle way. Seizing of karmas and afflictions leads to nirvana. Karmas and afflictions arise from conceptual cause. These arise from mental elaborations of grasping true existence, elaborations ceaseless by or into emptiness. Neither the aggregates, no different from the aggregates. Aggregates don't depend on him, nor is he dependent on them. The Tathagata does not possess aggregates, what is the Tathagata? That which dependently originates is possible to be independent existence. That which dependently designated, this is middle way. Since there is no phenomenon, there is no dependently originated, therefore there is no phenomenon, there is no empty. Arya Nagarjuna's precious garden. If the person is not earth, not water, not fire, not air, not space, not also consciousness, and not all of them, where is the person out of those? Just the person is not truly existent, because of the aggregation of the six elements. So each element also is not truly existent, as the aggregation of their own constituents. Dharma Samkiti Sutra. Form is like a mass of form, feelings is like a water bubble, perception is like a mirage, mental formations are like pendulum trees, consciousness is like an illusion, sort of Surya Mitri. Okay, it says perception, line 3, perception. Instead of perception, you can change it to discrimination. Perception is a vague translation. Many people translate it as perception. This is not good translation. Discrimination. But the discrimination again has many connotations. One is negative, gender discrimination, racial discrimination. This is not a connotation. Discrimination means the ability to distinguish things. Okay, this is good, this is bad, this is house, this is flower. Ability to distinguish things is known as discrimination. So number 3 is discrimination. It's not perception. Perception is so vague. Okay. Next, Arya Nagarjuna's commentary on Bodhicitta. And those who understand this emptiness of phenomena, they are also conformed to the law of karma and its results. That is more amazing than amazing, that is more wondrous than wondrous. Aradeva's founded verses on the middle way. When dependent arises same, ignorance does not occur. Thus, through all efforts, try to find this subject. His Holiness, the 7th Dalai Lama's rain shower of feet. A song before mindfulness is a guide to view of the middle way. At the crossroads of the 6 directions of consciousness, there are diverse perceptions. I see the hazy dualistic phenomena which are based at. Yes, a magical show that is by nature deceptive. Don't believe them to be true, but view them as having the nature emptiness. Don't let your mind go astray, but place it within the nature of appearance and emptiness. Through not losing mindfulness, hold it within the nature of appearance and emptiness. The sphere of appearing and existing phenomena is pervaded by the space of the ultimate clear light of suchness. There is an ineffable ultimate reality. View this nature of emptiness through abandoning mental contrivances. Don't let your mind go astray, but place it within the appearance of reality. Do not lose mindfulness, hold it within the appearance of reality. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama's prayer for proliferating the Dhamma the land of snows. Venerable Marpa Lozawa, Geshe Dorji Damdul, Lharampa, and so on. The host of the precious library, the source of blessings. Acharya Masters of the outstanding tradition. To you all I pray, may the Buddha Dhamma the land of snows forever, bliss forevermore. All phenomena encompassing samsara and nirvana are by the radiance of spontaneous awareness. Awareness itself devoid of elaborations, pervading all existences and appearances of samsara and nirvana is the great Mahamudra. May the Buddha Dhamma the land of snows bless forevermore. Arya Nagarjuna's Intrinsic Dharmadharu. Impermanent, suffering, and empty. Each way purify the mind. The Dhamma that surpasses purify the mind is the law of intrinsic nature. Concluding prayer in Lama's commentary on Arya Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom of the middle way. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by Shri and be able to uphold the Dhamma in general and the teachings of the coming Origination in particular, even in the personal life. Okay, this is very interesting. The Shri Hiruga. Yesterday I mentioned this. The Buddha's name. Shri Hiruga is a Buddha's name. And Shiruga is one of the deities that Buddha manifested in the form of Shri Hiruga one time. So how the Buddha chose this name, Shri Hiruga? Page 214. How the Buddha chose this name is to leave such impact in the mind, pertaining to my emptiness. Okay, so the to be wise, particularly having connected with, come in contact with the teaching of emptiness, we're extremely, extremely fortunate. Now the point is, see how much we can leave the imprint of emptiness in the mind to the best we can from all different angles. For example, Shri Hiruga, this one, you can recite it once you, we have Venerable Ratana here, then Mondila, extensively you speak with. No? Okay, so only 2. So Tibetans, you can recite this in Tibetan, learn this in Tibetan. Others, you can learn this in English. And the most important thing is the meanings. Meanings must be reflected. So there, what happens is that the Shiri Heruka, so the label, it has Shiri Heruka. 4 parts are there, 4 syllables. And of the 4 syllables, each of these syllables, they have a tremendous meaning wrapped there. And if you're able to remember the meanings of each of these syllables, and then you recite, every time you recite them, the very solid self-grasping will be crashed little by little, and this is extremely powerful. Let's see. Shiri Heruka. 4 syllables are there, and keep the Shiri, the last. First we explain He, then Ru, Ka. Let's say that how the emotions arise in us, anger, attachment, fear, and so forth, how they arise in us is when our mind interacts with the external objects. Do you agree with me or not? The emotions arise in us when our mind interacts with the objects, external objects. So what happens is that we have this me, I, the self, who interacts with the phenomena other than the self, too. So we have the self as the subject and the phenomena as the object. Phenomena here refer to phenomena other than the self. Otherwise the self is also phenomena. Self and a phenomena. So we see the self is objectified, the phenomena is objectified, then the duality is created. With this duality, then you become very strong, and the phenomena also is so independent from you, they can affect you. So then the emotions stir, and the emotions give rise to contempt karmas, and then will give rise to unending suffering. So okay, this is what happens. Now, Shiri Heruka. Hey, say first the phenomena with which we interact. When we see that the phenomenon with which we interact is just like a dream, it's not really there from the object, it's coming from the mind, like a dream. Then we dissolve this phenomena. Once the phenomenon is dissolved, then duality dissolves. Only one is left. What is left? No, object is dissolved already. The subject is left, the self. Subject, there are many versions of subject. The self is the subject, mind is the subject, the terms, labels as the subject. There are so many, there are 3 kinds of subjects. So, now the only self is left. Now you see the emptiness of self. You disqualify the self. So of the 2 phenomena dissolves by seeing the selflessness or the emptiness of the phenomena. Then you dissolve the self, emptiness of the self. So the duality dissolves. So what is left now? No, Archana? Emptiness. Also non-duality is left. First there's a duality there. You dissolve the phenomena, you dissolve the self, but it doesn't mean that the phenomena disappears now. This is not a connotation. Objective existence of the phenomena is what you discover to be non-existent. Objectively existent self is what you discover to be non-existent. It's all in your mind. Your mind sees the object objectively real. Your mind sees the self to be objectively real. In your mind, these 2 misperceptions dissolve. Now what is left? Object dissolve, subject dissolve. What is left? Non-duality is left. Initially there was a duality. Duality dissolves, non-duality is created. So what is left now? Non-duality. Okay, so first dissolve the phenomena, that is He. Then you dissolve the person, Ru. What's left now? Non-duality is left. This non-duality is Ka. Then who sees this non-duality? The wisdom. How this wisdom sees the non-duality is by being non-dual with the non-duality. The wisdom of emptiness sees this non-duality in a non-dualist way. So this wisdom non-dualistically sees the non-duality. Right? So that is the Shiri. It's very powerful. First, He, dissolve the phenomena. Ru, dissolve the person. Then the non-duality is left. This is Ka. Then who sees this non-duality? Wisdom. How does it see that? In a non-dualist way. It sees the non-duality in a non-dualist way. That is the Shri. You getting it? Okay, we're going to read it. This is very powerful. Okay, with folded hands, this is so powerful, very beneficial. With folded hands, read this. Shri Heruka, Shri Heruka, Shri Heruka. He is the self-essence of phenomena, the emptiness of the mind, which is source of everything as it is imputed to be of causal nature. Ru is the self-essence of the person, emptiness of the self, that is fabricated by the web of conceptual thought that grasps the self of person. Ka is the ultimate reality, the essence of the dissonant duality of the conceptual object. Shri is the non-dual exalted wisdom that abides in congruence with emptiness of object. This is the meaning of Eva. Okay.
Can we say that Shri is synonymous with Dhammakaya?
Okay, so basically these syllables, the syllables they have numerous meanings. For example, Om has numerous. Om, I think it's about 6 or 7 meanings are there.
In terms of meaning, not represented by the word Shri. I'm just saying that this non-dual aspect of wisdom.
No, so this is the representation. Shri. Shri represents. Shri per se, Shri is the glory. The glorious one. The glorious one. Shri. So what it represents? It connotes or it represents this meaning, the non-duality. So now the Dharmakaya, which Venerable is saying, Dharmakaya, say when we speak about we see dependent origination, and then the Buddha nature comes out, and then it manifests in the form of Buddha. What is Buddha? The ground is the Dharmakaya. Ground is Dharmakaya. The Dharmakaya is the emptiness nature of the Buddha's mind, total non-duality. So from this it's not like it's not in a causal form, it's not in a sequential form, but this Dharmakaya manifests in the form of the wisdom Dharmakaya, which is the Buddha's mind. From the wisdom Dharmakaya manifests the Sambhogakaya, the Buddha's enjoyment body, to benefit the Arya Bodhisattvas. From the Sambhogakaya, then the Nirmanakaya manifests. It's not like sequential, they are like simultaneous. Simultaneous, the ground is the Dharmakaya, the non-duality, the non-duality of the emptiness of the Buddha's own mind. There's the Dharmakaya. So she is Dharmakaya, yes, you're right. Yeah, Dharmakaya. Okay. So just for your information, oftentimes there's mention that everything which we experience is the radiance of your mind. Radiance. We read it already. His Holiness the Dalai Lama's composition, page 213. The last stanza, which reads, all phenomena encompassing samsara and nirvana are but the radiance of the spontaneous awareness. Okay, this is one thing that we need to keep in mind. Okay, let's say there's a bulb, which is, let's say a bulb which is green in color, bulb, and then when you put in the light, then the bulb will send for the light in 10 directions. And then if there's no other source of light, if this is the only source of light, then all what is white will be seen as green. Otherwise, in the daytime, what we see as white will be seen as green. Oh, there's a green light there, there's a green wall there, and everything what otherwise we see as white in the daytime will be seen as green. So, are they green or these are white?
White.
Huh?
White.
White. White is simply because we saw the world is white in the daylight, right? So likewise, it should be green. This is what we see as green in the green light. Daylight makes it to be seen as white. Otherwise, what's the reason to say that this is white? Okay, tell me. What's the color of this? Red, let's say red. Are you sure this is right? This is how we see as a red in the daytime. Daytime means it's affected by the light, source of light. What was the color of the color of Shabira's shawl? It's not shawl, what do you call it? Huh? Dupatta. Okay, what's the color of Shabira's dupatta? Pink. Are you sure it's pink? Huh? Are you sure? So this pink is how the light falls there and the pink is reflected. Right? Simply because of the daylight that it is seen as pink. Otherwise the original color is not the pink. But when we look at it, we so objectively we see that as pink, yellow, red, blue, white. It's so objectively real. And actually they are the radiance of your own mind. Just as these are the radiance of the color, all what we are seeing is the radiance of your own mind. When your mind is very happy, you will see things very differently. Your mind is very sad, low, you will see things very differently. Right? And then, not only that, say a bunch of atoms, our mind can make it seen as a phase. You agree with me? Actually, it's a bunch of atoms. Yet, our mind has tremendous power to make this bunch of atoms to be seen as a phase. Bunch of atoms to be seen as a mug. Bunch of atoms to be seen as a house. And they're all so discrete. But the basic constituencies, they are the same. Even the atoms, it's just simply say electrons, protons, neutrons. And our mind makes it them to be seen as atoms. Okay, so from the origin there's nothing there. Our mind radiates in the form of the different forms. So therefore it says that all phenomena encompassing the last stanza, page 213. Page 213, this is a very powerful stanza. All phenomena encompassing samsara and nirvana are but the radiance of spontaneous awareness. Radiance, meaning that simply your mind radiates. Your mind radiates, and then that makes us to see things as this person, that person, this house, this boat, this table, this light, as the sun, moon, galaxies, universe, and so forth. This is one thing. So it is for this reason that there is one group of practitioners who just practice this meditation, where you see that everything is just coming from the radiance of your mind. So what is the source of all the phenomena? Mind. So they see the mind as so, mind is there, all others just the radiance and the projection by the mind, projected by the mind. What is really there is the mind. They just abide in this experience of the mind. And for them, they see that this mind is the ultimate truth. In a way, it's, let's say, the Vedantic tradition of the universal, the cosmic consciousness, Brahmatma. So they talk about this, the cosmic consciousness. This concept is very similar to, some of the Buddhist practitioners' view of emptiness. They say that some of the practitioners, they say that what really is there is your mind. Everything else is a radiance of your own mind. They just come from your mind. What is really is the mind. And then when they actually meditate on this mind, observing this mind, when they meditate on this mind, then they say the mental disturbance. When you just keep observing the mind, mental disturbance automatically subsides. And the purity from the water with the sediments, you don't touch it, you don't stir it. Just still it, keep it there to still it, and all the dirt, the sediments will gradually subside, and the purity comes out. The purity comes out. Likewise, just observing the mind, and the metal dirt all subside, and the purity comes out. Purity comes out. So this experience, they say that the pure mind is the ultimate truth. Some of the Buddhist practitioners, in fact, there is a group of the practitioners who hold one particular tradition. They believe that this is the ultimate truth. This is the Dharmakaya. This is Buddha nature becoming manifest. So now my speculation is that when I meet with many of the Vedantic practitioners, not only the scholars, but the practitioners, when I meet with these practitioners, when I discuss with them, and then when they talk about the Brahmatman, when they talk about this, listening to them so well and discussing, it's very profound. Profound, where, see, all the Jivatman, what we see as Jivatman, they are nothing but your misconception. You see, okay, I am this. Actually, there's no this thing which is so distinct as the Dorji there. But it's just the Jivatman created by the misconception of the reality. When you don't know the reality out there, the real reality out there, then you create a duality. Oh, this is reality, I am this. So this, what we separate out of ignorance, that is the Jivatma and Atma. This is the Atman or this is Atma, and this is what they call as the Jivatma. So, what is really there, if you realize the reality, then the misconception will dissolve. When the misconception dissolves, this is metaphorically called as the Jivatman, dissolves into the Brahmatman. So this is the final reality. This is what the Vedantic tradition, and within Vedanta, again, the divisions are there. At one point, in fact, for me, I was with the non-Buddhist, particularly the non-Buddhist classical Indian traditions. Philosophically speaking, I was most close to the Vedantic tradition, because I meet with many Vedantic practitioners as my friends. Then I was taking what they are saying as very standard Vedantic tradition. Once I was in a conference, I think 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, in a conference. So then there was a scholar there, and then somebody picked up the concept of the Jivatma, Brahmatma. This scholar outrightly rejected, saying that this is, what is that? There's a scholar, Acharya. They call it this a different name. No. The Acharya, his name. Not Adi Shankaracharya. No. Okay, it doesn't matter. So this is just fabricated, this is just created by Shankaracharya. The scholar outrightly rejected it, just said that this is not the real Vedanta. Original Vedanta existed way before him. What he said is just his own fabrication. He outrightly rejected it. Then I realized, okay, within Vedanta there are different position holders. It's not just one, there are many versions. It's not just one version. Then I realized it's very complicated. Okay, very complicated. So generally speaking, what I'm saying is that from my point of view, those Vedantic tradition holders who are met, their version of the concept of the universal consciousness is something very similar to Chittamata's version of the mind, which is the source of all phenomena. One, and then particularly this tradition who see everything as the radiance of one's mind. And for them, the consciousness means the Atma. This I, what we call as I is the Atma. And when you actually, okay, the one point that I'm little I have many friends amongst the Vedantic practitioners. I asked them, particularly the Ramakrishna Mission monks. I have many friends there. And particularly I could remember one friend, not really friend, I would say he's more like amazing. He is amazing. Once I was in Tibet House, and the receptionist said that there's the Hindu monk waiting there to see you. I said, please send him up. And then a very elderly monk came from the Ramakrishna Mission. Very elderly, he must be in his 70s. He came. And then he had so much of difficulties with his knees. He came, and then I received him with great respect. And there's such a glow there with him, glow and warmth, amazingly warm, and a great humility. I was so impressed. And then he said that, I said, what can I do for you? He said, I came here to invite you. I said, where? He said that for a conference in Jammu. We organized a conference and I came to learn about you. I'd like to invite you to the conference. I said, no, why did you come? You should have sent one of your students. Or you should have sent somebody. Or through email you could have sent or should have taken all the burden of coming all the way here. He said, no, I came to Delhi, and then, because I'm already in Delhi, why not I come in person? So to extend this invitation. Then instantly we became, I would say, friends, but he's more like a fatherly figure for me. Very gentle, very kind, down to earth, very impressed, so kind. And then he extended the invitation, and I went there. And then they said, he was one, there are many from the Ramakrishna Mission, from Belur also, many who were my friends. And one was extremely learned. I was so impressed. He must be in his 60s. Highly knowledgeable, even with the Buddhist philosophy, I don't know, but about the anecdotes, all the life stories of the Buddha, the true teachers of the Buddha, all the names, very precise, very thorough, and so down to earth, and greatly learned. I was so impressed. So I have many of these friends, particularly from Ramakrishna Mission, and we used to have discussions, dialogues, and so forth, and the conferences and so forth. From there, I could have, and then once I asked this question to the group of Ramakrishna Mission monks, I asked them, what's the ratio of the Ramakrishna monks going for the lifelong retreat? Then they said that they were a little hesitant to give the answer. I said, why? They must be, because it's not just like what I call it, seva. It's not just a service center. It is really, there's a philosophy there. And somebody should embody this philosophy in your real life by practicing it like 24 hours. And then they said that our tradition, meaning the Ramakrishna Mission tradition, is more for the social service. We become monks, and then we are sent to various centers to engage in the social service. So we don't really emphasize so much on even for personal lifelong retreats. This is a little strange, because the philosophy is so rich. It's not just philosophy of kindness. Kindness go out in the public and then engage in the kindness. This is one thing. But there's a philosophy. It's not just they say 2 + 2 = 4, finish. Not like that. Say to dissolve the Jivatman into the Brahmatman. For that, it is not something that you just say some stanzas and the Jivatman dissolves there. No, it doesn't happen. For the emptiness meditation, we talk about emptiness all the time. Until we practice it, we will not realize emptiness. And particularly to realize emptiness directly, we have to spend really spend time in with the best condition would be in isolation. At least there must be some people doing that to see what emptiness is and really dedicate time on that. Likewise, there must be some people who really dedicate on one's time to experience this Vedanta, Advaita. Oh, the name is Adi Shankara. Yeah, Adi Shankara. Shankar Acharya is the more full form. In short, they call it Adi Shankara. Yeah. So, Advaita, non-duality. It's not just saying a stanza, a verse, shloka, then the Advaita, non-duality happens. No. To experience the Advaita, we have to really meditate on this. So this was I was a little confused. Because they openly told me that our tradition is more to go into the service. And we don't really encourage people to go into isolation. Okay. So anyway, this is a little digression. What I'm saying is that the radiance of the mind is very interesting. And even within the Buddhists, Modern Buddhists, Tibetan Modern Buddhists, there are some traditions, there are traditions who see that everything is seen as a radiance of one's own mind. Then what is the ultimate truth? This mind is the ultimate truth. Mind where everything dissolves, because the mind gets agitated because of seeing external things. When you realize external things is the radiance of one's mind, then the turbulence stops. Turbulence stops. When the turbulence stops, all the sentiment of the mind dissolve. They settle down. Then the purity comes out. And the experience described was amazingly profound. When the purity comes out, if this is what happens to like all the people, 99.9% will say that this is enlightenment. This is enlightenment. Okay, yet, only if you realize emptiness, the real emptiness in the form of non-affirming negative, you see that this is not the enlightenment, this is a partial awakening. It's a partial awakening. Now the job is to see the emptiness of this purity. This purity must be used to see the emptiness of this purity. In other words, the subject is this purity, object is the emptiness of this purity. So this subject purity should see the emptiness of this purity. This is known as the union of the objective clear light and the subjective clear light. Okay. Okay, now we continue reading from maybe that yesterday.
Shall I ask you a question?
Yes, yes.
After doing these meditations, the problem that affected you and affected people is still there.
No, which meditation?
These meditations, subsiding, the clearing your mind, subsiding.
They did not do a Shirihiruga.
Yes.
Yes.
This one. And in general, the meditations that we do.
No, meditation. Okay, meditation, emptiness. Yes.
You don't see the other phenomena as objectively real, and you accept it. That it is not. It's not just on the surface. You accept it. That is not objectively real. But then when you come out of the meditation and you leave the house and you're in the world, and that problem is still there.
What problems? Tell me.
The one that agitated you in the first place.
No. Just give me a very precise example. You go out and your neighbor says that you have thrown garbage next to my door.
No, it's not something as momentary as that. Supposing your child is on the wrong path.
Wrong path meaning?
Well,
okay, into drugs. Let's say into drugs.
Yeah.
And so forth. Then. And it's not just
life-threatening kind of.
Okay, suicidal, drugs, and so forth.
Yeah, and
for a long time.
Yes.
Then what's the problem?
So that's not something that is just somebody said something to me and I went.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And it's partially your responsibility.
Yes.
to also direct that person back.
Yes.
So then what do? Then you can't just say, no, it's not objectively real and I'm totally at peace with myself and that's it.
This is known as the union of emptiness and dependent origination. Say, those who seek personal liberation and the Bodhisattvas, those who seek personal liberation and those who seek liberation for all beings. One sun is nothing, it's just one. All beings. They don't say that, okay, nothing exists objectively, now I'm at peace. No. This is those who seek personal liberation, their style. Their style is, okay, they are not really indifferent. They are not indifferent. The personal liberation seekers, they are not indifferent to the world, but they care for themselves more than the world. So they usually, so therefore this is one difference that you see in the Tibetan monks and the Theravada monks. One difference that you notice is that you go to the Theravada monks, they don't really smile as much. To be very honest, you go there, they will not really smile as much. They are reserved.
They won't sit next to a woman.
Yeah, this one thing. And then they're little reserved. They're little reserved. Because the approach is that they're seeking personal liberation. Seeking personal liberation. So therefore, what happens to you? It does not really matter to me. Finally, my liberation. This is number one important thing. Right? But why you are then respecting this person so much is because then, one, you accumulate merit. Number two, you see that person is much better than somebody who's not doing anything, wasting time, right? And then on top of that, that person is at least seeking liberation, whether for others or yourself, that is seeking liberation. And you also seek something of this kind. I want fearlessness. I don't want to have the fears of life, this one. Whereas in the Tibetan tradition, it's not that the Tibetans are great, it's because of the Mahayana teachings. It's all emphasized on the compassion. That you wouldn't believe. You go to the monastic universities, go there, if you're with the monastic members for some time, the tension that you have will be released. They're fascinated. It's amazing. Then you will see that they are just broken with laughter, they will see that they're so happy. It's amazing. Overall picture. And details can be, different. But overall picture is amazingly beautiful. Whereas you go to the Theravada group, I'm not about discriminating. Meaning those who seek personal liberation. You go there, it's a little cold, that you really feel that, okay, I'm inferior, I'm not there, I'm just, second class. This feeling will come to you. Okay. Yet, this should be the stepping stone to the high realization. That is very important. It is not that they are bad, but what I'm saying is that the distinction between just seeing emptiness and then seeing emptiness has a connotation. We get the connotation. First impression people get is either going to nihilism or going into indifference towards others. Okay, I don't care about you, it's just empty objective existence. So you take care of yourself, whatever, your empty objective existence. Okay, I'm at peace. I see that nothing can affect me. I'm at peace. Right? This is the impression that we are bound to get. So for this, even if you get, if the emptiness, you got the correct emptiness, I don't care. This attitude will never come to you. Even for Shravakas, this is somebody, I wouldn't say Theravada, for those who seek personal liberation. Right? Okay, the point is, okay, now we label as Theravada, Mahayana, whatever. How many real Theravada are there? How many real Mahayana are there? It's very questionable. Right? Even amongst the monks, how many real Mahayana are there? how many real Theravada there who are really seeking liberation there is questionable, right? But even to follow this path, even that is so precious. But on the other hand, we have a tendency that somebody with 10% Rishi is 100%, again we call it as Rishi, right? This is our problem. That's generalizing everything. So what I'm saying is that if you get a real understanding of emptiness, whether you're following personal liberation or whether you're following full liberation for all beings, in both cases, compassion exudes. Because of the wisdom of emptiness, compassion automatically comes out. Your child, of course, even with any other sentient being, you see them suffering, your compassion exudes much more than how we display compassion. One, that the Bodhisattva's compassion, that is 1,000 times more sophisticated than what we would see as, oh, this person must be a Bodhisattva, right? Shavakas, Buddhas, how they display compassion. How they display compassion. Ordinary people see this compassion, you will surely think that this is a great Bodhisattva. And many people will say that this is a Buddha. Forget about being a Buddha. He or she is not even a Bodhisattva. Seek personal liberation. I'll share one story. Once there was an elderly lady who was suffering from leprosy. And what she had is, she had a ball of porridge. And there was a monk coming. And this elderly lady, she was just lost in devotion and she wanted to offer this, whatever she had, to the monk. And the monk, whether through the clairvoyance or through the body language, he senses what the lady was thinking. And she went to the lady and stretched his arm with his begging ball. Please give me something to eat. And the old lady was so happy. She said that, yes, I'm so happy to give this to you, but I'm suffering from leprosy. And the monk said, never mind. Okay, if we are in the monk's position, would you say never mind? We'll run away. See the whole hands so dirty, infested with the leprosy, we will run away. But the monk says, never mind. And the lady was so happy. Then, you know what leprosy is? Some of you may not be, younger ones may not be doing that. Huh? You know what leprosy is? Here? Where is he?
Oh, I have heard it, but I have not
seen
it.
Okay. So what the lady did, she poured the porridge that she had in her container in the monk's begging bowl. Then her finger dropped. Leprosy, the fingers will come out. Her finger dropped in the monk's. Then she started to panic. She started to panic. Now this monk will feel so bad. It will be outrageous towards me. And the monk could feel the tension in this lady. With great compassion, what she did in front of the lady, he picked up the finger, kept it aside, and took the porridge directly to tell the lady, don't worry. For me, your heart is more important. You are more important than me not being infected by this disease. You are more important. Your sentiment is more important than everything else for me. This is what he impressed, and then he just took it right there, consumed it right. And the lady, out of incredibly great feeling of appreciation to the compassion of this monk, on the spot, the lady died. And because of this virtue, enormous virtue the lady created, and the admiration of the compassion of this monk, This enormous marriage she committed right there. Because this marriage, she took birth in the Deva realm. Deva realm, and then right there, in the Deva Devis, they have clairvoyance. Through the clairvoyance, she was said, just a few seconds ago I was in the human realm. Now what made me come here in the Deva realm? She, through her clairvoyance, she checked and she realized that the previous life she was the old lady there, just a few seconds ago. She was the old lady there in the human realm, suffering from leprosy. And what made her take birth in the Deva and Devi? The celestial being with such the glamorous the facilities and situations there was because of the enormous marriage that this lady created, herself created as an old lady there, and she felt incredibly great admiration to what her previous life did. So she went there, still the corpse was there, old lady's dead body was there. She went with this full of divine flowers and to offer this to the old lady's body there, to say that I did something so great as this old lady with so great enormous virtues in relation to this compassionate monk, that now I take birth. I'm freed from the leprosy body. Now I'm the goddess here. So this is what happens. So this compassion, if you see somebody like this who displays such a degree of compassion, no doubt many people say that this is a Buddha, or many will say this is a Bodhisattva. But no, not at all. He was a Shivaka Arhat. So what I'm saying is that when you have the compassion, the wisdom of emptiness dismantles the ground for all the negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are all grounded on self-grasping ignorance. So this wisdom of emptiness demolishes the ground of all the negative thoughts. All the negative thoughts automatically crumble down, including anger. When the anger is gone, it leaves room for compassion to automatically flow. Why we can't have the compassion flowing so naturally is because of the anger, self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance, ego, all this, and they are all destroyed. So compassion automatically flows. So therefore, this is one thing. Then the Buddhist world's compassion is even more sophisticated. You can just think, you can just get a glimpse. You are lucky, you get a glimpse of what a Buddhist world's compassion is like. You can control your tears. It's amazing, amazing. It's going to be like, it's far, far, far more than the compassion displayed by an extremely brilliant mother. Brilliant meaning? Very intelligent, very educated, extremely common sense, so bright. And they're too your mother, which means excessive love and affection. So such person will make sure to plan you from A to Z till your death. The mother will plan for you, have plan for you. Because ordinary people, the mother cannot plan you for your whole life. Can plan you for, say, the first 5 years, the next 2 years, next 2 years, okay, till you are age 20. But since the concern is still there till you die, so the concern is there, but they cannot plan for you. But a very, very systematic plan can be done by a mother who is such a respected for her brilliance, common sense, and so forth, and that too, your mother. Okay, that is the Bodhisattva's love. That's extremely profound. Okay, so with this, the point is that now, practically speaking, emptiness, dependent origination. By seeing emptiness, these two are two sides of the same coin. By seeing emptiness, what happens is negative emotions dissolve. Anger, agitation, pain. Mother's love towards the child, the more the love, the more the pain. Particularly when the child goes through wrong direction, extremely painful for the mother, extremely painful, right? Mother's totally helpless, what to do, right? And everybody says, no, this is not a job. Now it's your child's job. You've already done your job. Now the child is not taking responsibility for himself or herself. He's already 20, 30, 40, 50, still not taking responsibility. So now your job is done, be at peace. No, the mother's mind will not be at peace. Because mother's love. Okay, so which means the mother's love, more the pain. Now with the wisdom of emptiness, okay, so those who are suffering from depression, more active the mind, more the depression. So now what the antidepressant does is it numbs your mind, it numbs your depressed state of mind, it also numbs your positive state of mind. It numbs both sides, right? You become like a zombie. That is the job of the antidepressants, heavy antidepressants. And if not heavy, light, mild antidepressant, okay, the agitation, depression goes down, and the memory, the clarity of the mind also goes down. Both sides. Whereas the wisdom of emptiness is the opposite. With the wisdom of emptiness, the pain, anxiety, depression, they all go down. But the love, that is not going down. Right? So the love and the pain, these two are separated by the wisdom of emptiness. This pain will be subsided, the love will not be subsided. Antidepressant pain will subside, love will be subsided. Okay, it's fine, you become inactive. In both ways, pain inactive, love also inactive. Right? Whereas the wisdom of emptiness, the pain will be inactive, the love will be even more active. This is the benefit. Amazing. Okay, so then how does it operate? By seeing the emptiness, the pain reduced, negative thoughts reduced. Seeing dependent origination, compassion grows. By dependence, what I want my son to be good. And how can the son become good? Oh, I have to depend on this person, depend on that person, depend on this factor, and so forth. Then the mother will be happy to go for these factors so that the child will become better. So, by seeing dependent origination, then you look for the factors dependent on which demerit is happening, and remove those factors, introduce the new factors which will give rise to factors to give rise to happiness for a son. So this is our study on dependent origination. So dependent origination will make your virtues grow, emptiness will make your negative thoughts diminish. Okay, good. Any more questions? Okay, good. Now, where did you leave last time? Anyone remembers?
Page 64.
64, 65? 66. Huh? No, which page? 66, paragraph 1. Okay, paragraph 1. So, what we were talking about yesterday was that the dependent origination of the causal relation and the dependent origination of the relation of the conditions. Two. Causal, within causal, again there are two. Outer dependent origination and the inner dependent origination. Outer referring to inner referring to the sentient beings. Sentient beings, how they dependently cycle in samsara, how they dependently get out of samsara. That is dependent origination of the inner. Dependent origination is outer, referring to the outer world with which the sentient beings interact, like the flowers, like the house coming big, and so forth. So the two dependent origination. In both cases, there are two. One is causal, one is condition. Causal meaning how the seed gives rise to the shoot, then to the leaves, then to the stem, then to the bud, then to the pistil, then to the flower, then to the fruits. In the case of the fruits, then the same. That is the outer dependent origination, and likewise you apply this to all other phenomena. And the inner referring to the self, we, each one of us, how we operate Okay, so for the outer, there's a causal and condition. Condition meaning the 6 elements. How the 6 elements contribute to the growth of the flower, growth of the house, growth of the community and so forth. And then the inner, the causal is the 12 links. Then the condition, for the inner, 6 elements for the outer. For the inner, same. Okay, inner also 6 elements. Okay, inner also 6 elements. There, what are the factors, elements, and the enumerated? They are different. For the outer, earth, water, fire, air, 4, plus space 5, plus for the outer, particularly for the flowers, vegetations, then the season is added, 6. And for the elements as a condition for the inner dependent origination, earth, water, fire, air, space plus consciousness instead of time. You can add time. Time is something common not only for the external dependent origination but also to the internal. Time is for all composite phenomena. But then season is one very important factor required. Time, not just time in general, a very specific time. For example, yesterday what we discussed is how the plants, some of the plants, they need the cold. That's very interesting. Even in Ladakh, I don't know whether the stencil you are aware of that. Even in Ladakh it says that not only Ladakh, maybe in the other cold places as well. When the animals like sheep, goats and so forth, the winter cold river, you just dip them in once. Dip them there in the cold. Of course, we will freeze. Dip them once there, and they don't want to be there. Dip them once, and then take it out. The whole year, the animal will be very healthy. You don't know that? Okay, this is what I saw in the documentary film of the nomadic life. Yeah. Okay. So the season referring very specific time of the need for the plants to be exposed to cold, for the time to be exposed to the little bit of the warm weather and so forth. So these conditions are required. That is a particular season required for that. Okay. Page 66, first paragraph, line 1. So how is the conditional or the conditional relation or the relation of condition in outer dependent arising to be seen? As due to the coming together of the 6 elements, outer meaning for the flower and so forth, as due to the coming together of which 6 elements, namely conditional dependent arising is to be seen as due to the coming together of the elements of earth, water, fire, air and space and season. Earth element functions as the support for the seed, the water element moistens the seed, this we did, the fire element rapens the seed, the air element opens the seed, the space element performs the function of not obstructing the seed to grow, and the season transforms the seed. Without these conditions, a sprout cannot form from a seed, but when the outer element of earth is not deficient, whereas the earth element is intact, and likewise water, fire, air, space and season are not deficient, then from the coming together of all these factors, a sprout forms as the seed is seizing. Okay, this is how these come into being is purely dependence on these causes and conditions. That's it. The point is that we solidify, we objectify some agent. So that is dismantled. That is dismantled for that purpose. For that purpose, how the dependent origination, simply by things coming to being, but dependence on these factors. That's very important. Finally, keep in mind that even for us to believe in the system or not believe it is not important. To believe in Buddhism is not important, to be very honest. As long, by not believing Buddhism, if you achieve the fearlessness and the infinite happiness, that is your path. By believing Buddhism, if you achieve the infinite happiness and fearlessness, that is your path. So therefore, these are the means. Believe in Buddhism, this tradition, that belief, and so forth. This is just a means. The goal is to achieve what? To achieve the fearlessness and the infinite happiness. That's what we're seeking. Who is that? The boys and the girls? Oh, Indians or non-Indians? Educated, uneducated? Buddhists or non-Buddhists? Everyone, right? This is the reality. But when we are caught up in the disciplines, we're caught up in the systems. When you're caught up in the systems, oh, I'm Buddhism, I'm following Buddhism, I'm a Buddhist, oh, I'm this from this, I'm from that, and so forth. Then you forget the goals. The goal is just the same, right? If you think historically speaking, very sensible people, they will look through the history. If they look through the history, they will easily come to the conclusion that all the religions, they are looking for the same goal. Easily. Okay, if you look at the story, some of the more dramatic, the anecdotes would be like, okay, one would be Buddha Shakyamuni, then the next to Buddha Shakyamuni was Mahavir, Lord Mahavir, like contemporaries. And then about 500 years later, Jesus Christ. And then about 1,000 years later, Prophet Muhammad. And then how many years? Guru Nanak. How many years? 1,700. Okay. And then likewise, Baha'u'llah. Recently I learned about Baha'u'llah, the Baha'i founder. He's amazing, very courageous. And he was also persecuted. And then so when you look at, when you really go into history, to see how these great teachers, great founders of religions, they came to being, they did not come on this earth to dictate a religion. For example, say the Buddha. How this Prince Siddhartha became such a renowned teacher? Because he was confronted with all the problems of life in the palace. He could see the what do you call it? The unfair, lacking the fairness. So the bully, everything he could see. Young prince, they all bully everybody around. He would see that. Then he would see the wars happening, so much wars happening. And there's so many people, they die. Then he was thinking how to look for a permanent solution. He was not happy with the temporary solution. He was looking for a permanent solution to these problems. Seeing these problems, then he went in search of the permanent solution. This is how he began. And Mahavir also, I learned that he was a prince. And how come that he became such a saint? Went to such an extent of seeking ahimsa, because he could see the hinsa, violence. He doesn't want to see this. Violence means people are suffering. And nobody wants to suffer. This is what they realize. Likewise, look at the story of Jesus Christ. All these, the administrative problem, the commoner suffering, he so courageously fought against, for the commoners. And then finally he was persecuted. And Baha'u'llah, same. I learned in great detail when I was in Israel about Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah's tomb was in Israel. And Bahula's, one who made a prophecy of Bahula was known as the Bab. And Bab's tomb was also there in Israel. To read the story of these two is amazing. Both were persecuted terribly. And particularly Bahula was persecuted terribly. Persecuted means that he did something which the authorities did not like. What did he do? To support the commoners. So they did not want to see the suffering. So they all stood up to eradicate the suffering of the beings. So therefore this clearly tells us that all these religions, finally the goal is to elevate the suffering. Because people are seeking fearlessness, no suffering. And then reading the Prophet Muhammad's biography, again it's very inspiring. I read the Prophet Muhammad's biography, it was very inspiring. So, one, he was very bright, extremely bright, and somebody who was so well, as a common person, he was such a respected one, and then got married to a rich lady, and then his influence became even more, and people respected him so much. One, since birth, he was very different, so intelligent, and with a charisma, amazing charisma and principles. It's amazing. So then he could see the problems in the tribes, the problems within, without problems. How to solve the problems? And he's very intelligent, he's very bright. How to solve problems? Then he gives him solutions. Again, to solve the problems of the community. So we see that all these great teachers, they came on this earth not to dictate what they believe, but to create peace, to remove the suffering of the beings. Now, all these isms given to being, and then the people who follow them, they forgot why these great teachers came on this earth. They forgot that. Then they think that our job is to just hold on to this system. They forgot the goal. The goal is exactly the same for everybody, for all the traditions. Okay.
Krishna, do you believe that Jesus Christ was a Buddhist monk?
Okay, that's Buddhist monk. Okay. Yes, I know that.
Your personal opinion.
Oh yeah, I know that, yeah. So that the BBC documents are there, and then even if you go to the Kashmiri side, you will see many sites there. Jesua, this was once, there was somebody came from the west, his name was Jesua, like this, there were so many these things. So my stand is very neutral. My stand is very neutral. This is the personal take. My personal take. And of course, say 12 years, they cannot track what happened to Jesus Christ in those 12 years, and suddenly he appeared again. So what happened in those 12 years, where did he go? So that time slot, we see that something with the label Jesua, appeared around that place. Somebody who is very significant, somebody who is very influential, charismatic, appeared there. Because all the traces are still found there. Unless the person is very charismatic, people will not pay heed to keep trace. Right? So otherwise there are 7 billion human beings today. After 100 years there should be 7 billion traces left, like tombs and so forth. No. Not even 1% will be left, will be remembered those days. Okay, so that person who must have been related to all these tombs and these places must be somebody who was very charismatic. So they say that Jesus Christ disappeared from there for like 12 years. So he happened to be in Hemis monastery, Kashmir. Very likely, who knows? Yeah, could be. But my personal take is neutral. I don't know. That's my personal take. Yeah. Okay, good. So the point is, why I'm sharing all these things is finally we are not to forget what is the goal and what is the means. The means to be taken as like the boat. The boat is not the goal. Boat is the means. Use the boat, get into the boat, cross the river. Once you cross the river, don't carry the boat. Right? Carry the boat is a burden for you now. So likewise, say gate, gate, para gate. Even the para gate, when you reach the Bodhiswaha, para gate is not your path. It is to be discarded when you reach Bodhiswaha. Right? For those who are yet to cross the river, the boat is very precious. Don't say the boat is to be eventually discarded. No, for you it is very precious. Only when you reach the shore, you are a different person. Then the boat is irrelevant to you, discarded. Likewise, we are not to hold on to the system as much. Let us not forget the goal. The goal is same for all the religions. Goal is same for all the religions. To achieve fearlessness and to achieve the infinite happiness for yourself and for others. Okay. 66, paragraph 2. The earth element does not think. Same. Earth element does not think. I support the seed. Okay, let's say that something naturally happens to you. Something natural happens to you. Okay, with the lottery, let's say. With the lottery, you win 1 million, let's say 1 crore rupees with the lottery. One scenario. Another scenario, okay, somebody like 40 years ago, your classmate, who was your classmate 40 years ago, suddenly he came out and two of you come to know each other, recognize each other. Oh, you're my classmate 40 years ago, or 50 years ago. Then the other person has already become so rich and became so nostalgic, and then give you 1 crore rupees. Okay, in which case you will feel a sense of gratitude. The lottery, 1 crore rupee, or the person giving you for free 1 crore rupee. Sense of gratitude. The one who gave you free. Because there's one person there as an agent, who decides whether I get this 1 crore rupees or not. Who decides, right? It is his kindness. Then what happens is that we solidify the object so much. He's so kind. When we say so kind, we objectify that person. He's so kind means others are not so kind. So duality is created. Right? This is where the objectification happens. So the Buddha said that this objectification is solidifying your dream. You have to dissolidify. We have to say the objectification must be dissolved. For that matter, we have to see everything by dependent origination. But it does happen, right? Some people are so kind to give you something which you don't really expect. So kind, but that's true. Yes, even that is because of dependent origination. Because that person was not giving 1 crore rupees to everybody, only to you. Why to you? Because you were the classmate for like 40 years ago. But depends on that factor that he wanted to give the money to you, that she wanted to give the money to you, originated. That's also because of dependent origination. Right? Okay, so that way we see that what is emphasized here is to see that things are all dependently originated. Dependent originated. It's not like randomly somebody gives me 1 crore rupees. Means it's as though like randomness. As though like randomness. No, even that is dependent originated. Right? Okay. A second paragraph. Earth element does not think. I support the seed. The seed should be feeling grateful to me. I as the earth, I support the seed. Nor does the water element think, I water the seed. Nor does the fire element think, I wrap in the seed. Nor does the air element think, I open the seed. Nor does the space element think, I make sure the seed is not obstructed. Nor does the season think, I transform this seed. Nor does the seed think, I form the sprout. Nor does the sprout think, I am formed by these conditions. Yet when these conditions are present and the seed is ceasing, the sprout automatically is formed. Likewise, when finally there's no flower, when there's a flower, the fruit is formed. Right? This is simply because of the dependent origination, how the dependent origination operates. Okay. For example, let's say, how did the river Ganga, how did it know that it should flow to Bay of Bengal? How did it know that Bay of Bengal is there? Human beings, when we are near the Gangotri, and if you know no idea of the map, and somebody says that there's Bay of Bengal, it's a beautiful place, Bay of Bengal there.
Based on gravity, the height and resistance from the
Exactly. So we the human beings, we don't know where Bay of Bengal is. Yes, the river Ganga knows it so well. Right? It's so well. Knows it so well. It just, without any error, it goes to the Bay of Bengal. It's amazing. How did you know that there's Bay of Bengal there? How did you know that? Abanji?
I don't think you knew that.
I said, okay, this is what we have to know. I don't think that this the river Ganga knows that there's Bay of Bengal there. It's simply through dependent origination that it meets with the Bay of Bengal. That's it. There's nothing that it knows. Okay, now I'm going to Bay of Bengal. Anybody who loves to jump into the stream? Right? No. It's just by dependent origination that it does not know. It's by dependent origination. How? That this river, one, by dependence on the fluidity. The snow will not go to Bay of Bengal, but the water will go to Bay of Bengal. Snow gets stuck there, it does not flow. So the nature of being fluid, number one. And not just a very small amount. If it's a small amount, it simply flows there and it disperses there, finish. It's a huge amount, one. And then that it being fluid, two. Then that the gravity pulls it down. Then that is not pulled to Kashmir, right? Wherever the land is lower, it flows with respect to where it was, which is lower, it flows to that lower place, lower place. Where it's not lower, then it forms a lake. Where it's lower, it flows in the form of a river. But depends on the little lower adjacent place, lower than this, the water being fluid, and a huge amount of water, and the gravity, all these factors, but depends on all these factors, then it goes down, and it so happened that the lowest point that it can go to is the Bay of Bengal. This is just pure dependent origination, right? So therefore, if someone asks you like this, and some say that, oh, Ganga is the angel, Ganga is goddess Ganga, right? And create that as a goddess. But to be very honest, no, the Ganga doesn't know that. That's very true. It's just a water, right? It's by dependence on these factors that then it flows in this direction and then it meets with the Bay of Bengal. Okay. So all these instructions which the Buddha is giving is a very skillful way to tell us that to peel off our objectification. Okay, third stanza, third paragraph. The sprout is not created by itself, not created by another, not created by both, not created by Ishvara, not transformed by time, not derived from Prakriti, and not born without any cause. Okay. The sprout. Now to give an example of a sprout, this is very good. Now this we go into the philosophy. The sprout is not created by itself, meaning that there was a system, philosophical system, who believed that there is a self-production, production from the self. So these are all the, let's say, the belief systems incorporated here. Self-production. The Buddha said the sprout is not created by itself. Self-production meaning you plant a seed and the sprout grows out. Okay, what is yours? What would you say? If there is if there is a house and from the house one person comes out. Initially you thought that this house was empty. And suddenly, from the house, somebody comes out. What do you, huh?
Maybe there's more people in there?
No, first you thought that there was no one inside. Then somebody comes out. Oh, there was somebody inside that. You're getting it? When somebody comes out, which means that that person must be inside first. Likewise, when the shoot comes out, the shoot must be inside the seed. The shoot was already inside inside the seed. It just came out. It's not that the shoot was born out of that. Right? It was not that shoot was non-existent and then from the seed, shoot came out newly. No. Shoot must be inside. This is one philosophy. One philosophical tradition who said that, no, it's not newly born. It's not newly produced. It was already inside there. What is inside came out. Right? If there is no person inside the house, how can this person comes out? Likewise, from the seed, if it's not in the seed, then how does it come out? So then Acharya Dharmakirti, he put the debate, saying that in a tiny seed, banyan tree, huge tree. So it came out from one tiny seed. So do you say this huge tree was in this tiny seed? Huh? If you believe in self-production, without what is inside, without something inside that, how can it come out? Without the person inside the house, how can the person come out? So therefore, without the tree inside, how can the tree come out? This is the position of one of the philosophical traditions. So they say that nothing is newly produced. Everything is produced, but it's already existing there. So Acharya Dharmakirti, what he said is that, okay, if this is the case, then say ant with a tiny one blade of grass, ant sits on it. Is it possible not? Ant sits on the one blade of grass. Okay. And the ant can take birth as the elephant in the future lifetimes. So this elephant must be inside the ant. If the elephant is inside the ant, then the elephant must be on the tip of the grass. So the grass must be holding the elephant, which is so weird. Right? So this is the debate put forward by Acharya Dharmakirti, saying that.
But what about genetic code or
Okay. Okay. So this is very good. Stem cells, genetic code, the genes, how everything, for example, say, okay, my hand, my vein is visible outside, and in some people, this particular vein is not visible outside, it's little inside. In my case, outside, others inside, is already dictated by the genes. Genes of my mother when I was inside my mother's womb. It's already dictated. Say, one hair coming here, one hair coming here, that's already dictated. Already dictated in the gene. Right? So therefore, what is inside comes out. Right? Okay. This is not what is inside comes out. Hair was not in the mother's womb. This hair was not inside the mother's womb. So the coating, like what do you call it? Like, okay, these are things, checklist. Checklist is not the program. Checklist for the program is not the program. Okay, we're going to have a conference, the Choe Swimming Center, Choe Swimming Center is going to be a conference, right? Okay, what is the checklist? You make a checklist. Checklist is not a program. Don't think that simply having one sheet of checklist is a program. This is not a conference. But checklist will make sure that the conference operates properly. Right? Okay, for the conference we need to have the butter lemon offering. The butter lemon should be listed there. If it's not listed there, we may forget it. Right? So with the checklist, everything should be there. So these coatings, the codes, the genes, they are like the checklist. Checklist with the potential to give rise to this, and so forth. Otherwise, our eyes are not there in the genes. Right? The coding for the eyes, they are there. Okay. Now, the sprout is not created by itself. No self-production, number one. Not created by another. This is very important point. Okay, not created by another. Sprout, is it created by another or not? Sprout.
Seed.
Is this created by seed or not? Sprout, is it created by the cause?
Yes.
Yes, of course. And amongst the cause, seed is one of the most important cause.
Yes.
One of the most important causes. So the sprout was caused by the seed, and seed and sprout, these two are different. One is different.
Different.
Very different. Seed is very tiny, sprout is bigger. Sprout is green, seed can be yellow, be brown. Very different. So the sprout is created from another. Yes? Sprout is created from the seed. Seed is another with respect to the sprout. Okay, so it says, the Buddha said that it's not created by another, not created by both. Okay, when you reject the creation from the self, then creation from both itself and another, that is rejected. Third one is easy. First one is relatively easy. Second one is very complicated. That the sprout is not created by another. Okay, this is, the sprout is not created by objectively another. Sprout is not created by objectively another. Okay, not created by both, not created by Ishvara. Okay, so so this person so generously give you 1 crore rupees. Oh, he's so kind, he's a God. We say that, right? He's a real God for me. Mother Teresa, God for all these poor people, God. Okay, so Ishvara, it's not like this. It's all just coming to be, everything just came into being by dependence on other factors. It's purely dependent origination. Dependent origination means the factors depend on which the results come into being. These factors themselves should be impermanent. If the factor is not impermanent, if the factor is permanent, the factor will never change. If it doesn't change, if the factor doesn't change, then the result which is changing cannot come into being. If the result changes come into being from this permanent factor, then the first moment of result, second moment of result is two are not the same. Why the second moment of result is not given rise to in the first moment? So there's a sequential production. Happens because of the cause being sequential. Right? So the fact that there's a dependently originated, things come into origination, things come into production, but depends on other factors, the cause must be impermanent. So therefore it cannot be Ishvara. Ishvara means somebody which is a permanent phenomenon. Not transformed by time. Oh, this is very important. Okay, not transformed by time, transformed by time. Time transforms or not? We said it earlier, right? What says? Season. The season is actually the time. What's the job of the season?
Transform the seed.
Transform. But the Buddha here says that not transformed by time. No? Huh? Oh, in ultimate sense, okay. Anybody else? Objectively by time, ultimately by time. Okay, this was not just randomly what the Buddha said. There's tremendous background information. The background information is that we see this universe. Where did this universe come from? This question. The philosophers, they thought. And okay, anything else? Not here. Philosophers, they thought about this. The philosophers, they thought about this, and some philosophers, they said that, oh, it came from the God, or the Ishvara. Some say that, it came from a past karma. Some say that, this is amazing, how the human thoughts, right, it came out different traditions. And some say that, and within the God, again there are multiple gods. Some say that is the personal God. Some say this is a polytheism, numerous gods, right? Some gods are responsible for rain. Some gods are responsible for the what? Sun. Some gods are responsible for the water god. How human thoughts are amazing. And then more amazing, more practical I would say. Amazing and practical is that no, nothing wrong. This is all made of particles, right? Particles are the creator of the universe. Particles. Now, modern science articulates this concept. This concept already existed like 1,000 years ago. We said the universe was created by particles. There's no God, nothing. Particles exist. These particles, through the different configuration, then some become sun, some become earth, water, plant, human beings, animals. These plants, the particles. Particles are the creator of the universe. One philosophy. No God. And another says, this is amazing. Another says, no, time. Time is the creator. So why the Buddha added this time?
Someone thinks that.
Not created by both, not created by Ishvara, not transformed by time. Meaning that the time is the God. God meaning time is the one, the creator. Time created everything. All these phenomena, they are created by time. Right? With time, then different things evolve. You agree with me? At one time there was dinosaurs. Now the dinosaurs extinguished. Then the dinosaurs maybe a few million years ago. Then 0.3 million years ago, they have Homo sapiens, they started to come into being. Right? Okay, this is, as the time evolved, new things come into being. So things are created by the time. Time is the creator. They don't call it God, but they say time is the creator. Some say particles are the creator. It's amazing. They really thought a great deal. Okay, so Buddha said that no, there's no time which is independent entity which creates all these things. No, there's no time there to create, to transform all these things. Not derived from Prakriti. Again, this is another philosophy. This is a very beautiful philosophy. It's a Samkhya philosophy. It's a beautiful philosophy. So what they said is that, okay, how many of you know this philosophy? Not necessarily all complete, but about this. The Prakriti in the form of the creator. How many of you know this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, Prakriti, I'll share with you. Prakriti is, in English, can be translated as a primal substance. The prime substance. Meaning that what exists in this universe, according to Samkhya tradition, what exists in this universe, what ultimately exists is only two things. Prakriti, the creator, and Purush, the self, the person, the beings. Self is there, Atma, self is there, and the Prakriti is there. All the buildings, house, particles, the clothes, your body, non-existent. What truly exists was Prakriti, agent, and the self. So what happens is Prakriti, it wants to deceive the self. It wants to deceive the self and put the self to suffer in samsara. Prakriti is very naughty. So this what Prakriti does is that this Prakriti creates all these things like the house, the food, the body. With the body, not a good body. A good body, then they will not move a house. The body which is prone to and the suffer because of heat, cold, hunger. Because of the heat, then they need shelter. Because of cold, they need the heating system. They need for the heat, they need the cooling system. Then because of thirst, they need the water. Because of hunger, they need the food. And for the food, they have to work. Like of the 60, 70 years, minimum 80% of your time is going to be wasted to look for food. Do you agree with me? Yes. 80% of your time wasted to look for food. Right? And then these different thoughts are created. Thoughts, okay, our species will continue. And then just for your children, you spend so much of time just for your children. So the species will continue. We see that this is all the tricks of the Prakriti. Prakriti created all these things. And then what happened? That some people through Samadhi, with the help of the teachers, through Samadhi, then they discover, they go into the inner realizations. Through the Samadhi, gain Samadhi, through the Samadhi then get the clairvoyance. Through the clairvoyance, they see what is beyond the visible world. They see the Prakriti. How the Prakriti created all these things to trap us in samsara. They discovered the secret. The moment they discover the secret, meanwhile the Prakriti is observing you. And Prakriti feels so ashamed to realize that you have discovered his secret. So Prakriti immediately withdraws all the creatures. All what is created by the Prakriti will just withdraw from you. So your body, which is based on hunger, thirst, cancer, all these problems, what is removed? You are free from hunger, thirst, fear, cancer, illness, sickness, aging, everything. You are freed. And then everything else withdrawn. What is left? Only the self is left and the Prakriti is left with respect to you. Only the self is left with respect, only the self is left. Hunger, thirst, sickness, aging, death, rebirth, everything is gone. That is Nirvana. This is Samkhya aspiration. So everything is created by Prakriti. Okay, Prakriti is in the form of a creator. And not born without any cause, no random cause. Random cause accepted by Charvakas. Random cause accepted by Charvakas. Nevertheless, through the coming together of the elements of earth, water, fire, air, space, and season, the sprout forms as the seed is seizing. This is just a mere dependent origination that the sprout comes into being. It's not at all created by anybody, time, particles, Ishvara, whatever. It just came into being by dependence on the preceding factors, dependent origination. Thus is the conditional relation in outer dependent arising to be seen. Okay, we'll stop here.
Gati